Hello everyone. Welcome to our channel Mysterious True Stories. In this video we will discover the top 10 strange historical buildings in the world. Hundreds of theories and myths have emerged about historical buildings and how they were constructed, but none of them have been proven. Today we will take you on a fascinating and mysterious journey across continents and history, making you, dear viewers, rethink many of the things you have known and the things you have yet to discover. Number 1. Egyptian Pyramids. Giza in Egypt, there are 3 colossal pyramids built more than 4,523 years ago during the 4th dynasty of ancient Egypt. These pyramids are true engineering marvels, the tallest reaching 236 meters. The smallest stones used in these pyramids weighed between 900 kilograms and 2.5 tons. The walls of King Khufu's bedroom were built of stones weighing 25 to 80 tons, which even modern cranes cannot lift. The first thing that comes to mind is that slaves built the pyramids. However, the builders of the pyramids were not slaves, but paid laborers and skilled engineers. In fact, those who participated in the construction of the pyramids were respected by the pharaohs and enjoyed a high status in ancient Egyptian society, so they were allocated a special cemetery next to the pyramids. Even with modern technology, building the smallest pyramid would have taken 5 years and cost over $5 billion, not counting workers' wages. Number 2. Sun Gate. In the Andes near La Paz, the capital of Bolivia, there is a huge stone gate built by the Tiwanaku civilization in 500 AD. Known as the Sun Gate, this gate faces the sun from most angles. It is more than 3,825 meters above sea level, is entirely composed of andesite rocks, and is 2.8 meters long and 3.8 meters wide. It's a one-off, not a pebble. The mystery of this gateway is not its 10-ton weight. The mystery is that the gate was originally located close to the beach and was later relocated to the Andes at an altitude of 3,825 meters. How did a 10-ton gate get here? Don't forget, dear reader, that the Tiwanaku civilization was unable to invent the alphabet and only discovered the wheel later. Number 3. Nan Madol. On the island of Ponapai in Micronesia, a small island country in Oceania, there is an ancient city built along the coast. According to Carbon-12, the city was founded in 200 BC. Built. The city was built and designed entirely of tightly packed stones. The cornerstone is carved in the shape of a tree trunk, 3 meters long and 50 centimeters in radius. The shortest wall in the city is 5.5 meters long, and the longest wall is located in the center of the city and is 7.5 meters long. Each stone is a cube and weighs 2.5 tons, while the tree trunk-shaped cornerstones weigh 15 tons each. The city really wowed the engineers, and it was impossible for the locals to build it. When European explorers arrived on this small island, there were less than 1,000 inhabitants, and they were unable to discover the secrets of iron-making. When European settlers asked the natives about the city, they replied, "We discovered the city while we were here. Our ancestors told us that giants rode huge ships and cast strange spells that made heavy objects float in the air. They saw those ships build the city." This answer is both adequate and puzzling. 4. Aleppo Citadel. In the city of Aleppo, Syria, there is one of the oldest castles in history, the Aleppo Citadel. According to modern history books, the castle was built by Saladin himself when he was alive, but in fact the castle has a history of more than 4,000 years. That was 1800 BC. Built in the kingdom of Yamhad as a temple to the Aramaic god of war, thunder, and storm. Later, during the Seleucid period in the 3rd century BC, King Antiochus I saw the temple and was so impressed that he decided to convert it into a military castle. Antiochus I simply dug a ditch around the castle and made military preparations. He was amazed that the temple walls were so thick that they didn't need to be reinforced or refurbished. At the time no one knew exactly how much the stones weighed because the ton unit hadn't been invented yet, but they were heavy, at least a few tons. We're talking about a temple dedicated to the god of war, which surprised the Seleucid kings. Despite its age, the temple has survived the Assyrian and Persian wars and hundreds of earthquakes throughout Aleppo's long history. Still, the temple stood for over 1,500 years before King Nicator saw it and marveled at its strength. The foundation stones, some castle walls and cellar walls are over 4,000 years old without any change in their strength and weight. Kings without castles can change them. It is amazing that this temple was built on a hill 40 meters high. The method of lifting rocks weighing several tons to more than 40 meters is still unknown. Number 5. Coral Castle. In Miami, Florida, USA, there is a tourist attraction called Coral Castle. It was built by Latvian-American engineer Edward Leedskalnin. The attraction consists of several rocks made of limestone carved into seagrass shapes and other grotesque shapes, all of which weigh 1,100 tons. Edward carved and mounted all of these rocks and put them in place. It took 28 years to build, and Edward was officially opened in 1920. What's so great about it? Amazingly, Edward built the castle with his bare hands, without any help, and without using any tools or machines. Some stones weigh 28 tons, some weigh 53 tons, and the city gate alone weighs 58 tons. He carves, moves and installs them without using any machines. Regardless, he managed to lift the castle gate, which weighed over 58 tons, and fit it into place without a crane. During the 28-year construction period, locals did not hear any machine noise. In fact, Edward refused to let anyone help him, not even to see him work. He was very secretive, sleeping during the day and working at night so no one could see what he was doing. He paid great attention to the secrecy of his methods, which allowed him to move tens of tons of weight from one place to another without the use of machines. The construction of this tourist attraction remains a mystery to scientists and engineers. A group of children claim they snuck into his garden to see what he was doing when they saw rocks floating in the air. He used many tools to build and move all these barrels, and none of them were mechanical. Surprisingly, some of these tools are musical instruments. It is worth noting that Edward was a Freemason and had ties to the Masonic temple. Furthermore, his biography is mysterious as he was born in Latvia and little is known about his childhood. His family was so poor that he dropped out of school at the age of 11 to work to support his family. He is introverted, reads all day long, and is particularly fascinated by technology and history. He is rarely seen holding a book in his hand. At the age of 26, his family arranged for him to marry a 16-year-old girl named Agnes, but he fled to the United States without warning on the wedding night. Despite being poor, he was able to get a visa to the United States in one day and later bought this miracle land. Number 6. The Temple of Jupiter. In the city of Baalbek, Lebanon, there is a temple dedicated to the Roman god Jupiter that dates back to 2000 BC. This is about the same time as the construction of the Aleppo temple. Before being a temple to the Roman gods, the temple was dedicated to the god Baal, as the name of the city itself suggests. During the Roman province of Syria, especially in AD 138, the temple was converted to the dedication of Jupiter and built on the foundations of the ancient temple. To the Romans' amazement, each stone of the temple weighed 1,000 tons and was built and paved with such precision that you couldn't fit a sheet of paper between each stone. It is laid with such precision that air and dust cannot get between the individual stones. The foundation stones of the temple weigh 1,000 tons each, and they are the heaviest stones ever used in construction. These stones cannot be lifted even with modern technology. However, the impact isn't in the 1,000-ton blocks. There are other stones in the city 900 meters from the temple that look like unsuccessful architectural attempts. The most famous stone is the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, which weighed 1,000 tons and was embedded in the ground during the fall, suggesting that the Phoenicians may have somehow lifted it hundreds of meters into the air, but it was falling. There is also a stone known as the Southern Stone, which weighed 1,242 tons and was found embedded in the ground after it was somehow dropped. 7. Red Island, United Arab Emirates. It all started on the fishing island in the United Arab Emirates known as the Red Island. Its history dates back to ancient times when it was a beautiful village with scenic beauty that attracted immigrants from Persia and some wealthy Portuguese merchants. The village was rebuilt in 1831 and has a population of about 4,000 people, most of whom are involved in the pearl trade. Since 1968, the residents left their beautiful village and gradually moved elsewhere, leaving the village empty and devoid of significant human activity. The village has a bad reputation as some rumors say it is haunted, and there have been confirmed cases of people being chased by strange creatures when approaching the village. Also, some noises can be heard from inside its darkened house. To this day, the village remains completely isolated from people, with some skeptics trying to prove otherwise, but unfortunately, most people come back disappointed after witnessing strange things happening in the village and proving that it is indeed haunted. Number 8. Trasmoz, Spain. Trasmoz is a small remote village in the province of Zaragoza, Spain. It is home to the greatest magicians and conjurers in all of Andalusia. Its inhabitants departed after horrific myths and some gloomy atmosphere created by wizards who spread throughout the village. Some people claim that the village is full of elves summoned by black magic and they live in the village. The population of the village is only 62, of course most of them are wizards and magicians. The houses in this village have a gloomy atmosphere and no sense of comfort. From a distance they appear very dark, and rumors abound that the village is cursed and that the village castle is home to demon worshippers and dark magic. Number 9. Bangalore, India. Regardless of what the village looks like, it's listed as one of the most dangerous places in the world. It was established by the Mughal Empire in 1573 and was a very powerful city at the time. However, as the saying goes, all things must come to an end, and the Mughal Empire began to weaken, causing a great famine, and the villagers migrated, leaving no one behind. Some people think it is haunted because they hear the sounds it makes. Some people like to wander the village during the day, but visitors must pack and leave before dark. Bangar Temple is considered one of the most dangerous places in the village, and it is believed that whoever enters this temple will be trapped inside forever and cannot get out. The temple is known for the strange phenomena and movements that take place inside it at night. For this reason, Indian authorities have placed warning signs at all entrances to the villages, warning not to enter the villages after sunset, as those who enter after sunset will get lost and never return from this cursed village. Number 10. Winchester Mystery House, San Jose, California, USA. This cursed mansion once belonged to a lady named Sarah Winchester. The curse began after the deaths of her husband and daughter, leading Sarah to become obsessed with the idea that death would follow her family rather than leave her alone. Of course, this makes us wonder if Sarah is suffering from some kind of delusion, since death is an inescapable reality that no one can escape. Sarah goes to a psychic who tells her that she is haunted by evil spirits and that her late husband told her to immigrate and buy a new house. She is also instructed to keep building and expanding the house to accommodate any spirits that follow her, in order to protect themselves from her evil. Sarah followed the instructions of the psychic to buy a wooden house. 38 years later, their house has grown to 7 stories, which is a lot for a wooden house. A labyrinth was formed inside, and it was easy for anyone to get lost. She also creates traps and obstacles in the house. Despite these difficulties and labyrinths in her house, death still came to her. At the age of 83, Sarah lived in constant fear of her inevitable fate. Her house has now become a tourist attraction for horror and suspense lovers. What do you think? Dear viewer, how do you think these historic buildings were built? How stones, which even modern technology cannot lift, were lifted and laid in a systematic way? Amaze the engineers. Do you really think these sounds lift these buildings? Or is there another explanation? Share your opinion. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.